last time. You okay there, laptop? Let's continue.
Okay. What you got to offer me, Tobias?
This is the true story of the Balance, as observed by the Sentinel, the Order of the Balance, the Fathers. The Sentinel Minstrom committed this story to the pages of the Scriptures and to these temple walls thousands of years ago, so that coming generations could learn and understand their past and their future. The wall paintings we are looking at became known as the murals of the Balance, and it is through these images that I will recount our common history to you, April Ryan. The story begins and ends here, with this mural. Ages ago and in ages to come, the Earth was one, and magic and science existed side by side in nature and in all people. There was balance, and there was harmony.
You're saying there was just one world then?
One world, one Earth. Magic and science in balance with each other, within each and every living creature. The power to make the stars dance and to create life itself was within our grasp. But then, humankind began to exploit this divine power of two, and they saw fit to use it for their own selfish purposes. The balance of the cosmos was in peril. Unless something was done, unless man was humbled and learned to fear the power he wrought over cosmos, the twilight of chaos would fall upon Earth. It had happened before, in distant times and on distant worlds, and it would happen again. And every man, woman, and child of every people and every race would be devoured by the coming apocalypse. We were given a visitation then. The Dragkin, having lived among us for untold generations, rose to offer their guidance and assistance in preserving the balance on our world.
Alright. You're dropping a lot of stuff on me,
The
Tobias.
Drag? I think I've heard that name before.
Dragkin, Draken, Dragons, whichever name they go by, they remain the eternal servants and custodians of the balance. There were 4 of them here on Earth, and of the 4, one who would found the Order of the Balance, the Sentinel. The first Minstrom were instructed that magic and science would have to be separated before the balance collapsed and brought untold disaster. Earth would have to be split in 2 equal parts. Arcadia and Stark, magic and science, chaos and order. The first Sentinel were counted 13, 6 scientists, 6 magicians, and one who was between, the Dragkin, our mentor, our custodian, our learned guide. Both magic and science were needed to perform this most difficult of tasks, to split a world in 2, to create 2 worlds from one.
Wasn't the use of that kind of power dangerous to the balance?
Yes, and so for this purpose, they built a tower to channel their powers and focus them on the divide that they would create. The kin had brought a disc with them, a disc forged in the fire of their world. Placed at the base of the tower and the epicenter of the divide, the disc and the tower would become one, a conduit for the flow of magic and science. At the appointed hour, the 13 came to the tower, and with them a woman, whose destiny was decided by the purpose to which she had been born. She would be the first guardian, the human protector of the balance, who would stay in the tower for 1,000 years to watch over the two worlds and to ensure that the flows of magic and science were always equal. And so the ritual began. One world was to become two, separated by the balance, and each world visible to the other only by way of dreams. Who was ushered into which world was not an arbitrary choice, nor one taken lightly. For the magical creatures, the choice was simple. They had to go to Arcadia. Their kind would not survive in Stark. But for others, families were torn apart, lovers separated, and friends lost for all eternity. Encircled by the 12 and the One who would be guardian, the disk at the base of the tower began to spin faster and faster as more and more power flowed through it, until it was a blur. Darkness enveloped the tower, but the disk glowed brighter and brighter. Reality turned, and in one moment, a new reality had been created and 2 new worlds born. In the tower there was silence. The original disk had disappeared, and in its place was a smaller counterpart, a similar yet different disk. Around and outside the tower, the world looked different. They were now between Stark and Arcadia, between reality and dream. This was the realm of the balance and of the guardian, and it would be her home for the next 1,000 years. The one who was kin picked up the disk and said, "This disk is a counterpart to the original disk, which has now become this realm, and the key to which has been split and divided in 4. The key is the disk, and the disk is this realm." This mystified the 12, and the one who was kin continued, "Know only this: the Guardian's realm cannot be broken unless the disk is broken. But nor can it be repaired without the disk being repaired. The 4 pieces, that is the key, will be given to the 6 of you who are to be taken to Arcadia for safekeeping. Yet the key will never be complete," he went on, "without the precious stones that adorn each piece. I will keep 1, and my fellow kin the 3 others. Should the day come when this realm must be repaired, or the worlds reunited, and that day will come, you will assemble the disk, and the kin will come together one last time." With that, 6 of the 13 went to Arcadia, and 6 to Stark, and the one who would be guardian ascended to the throne. Witness the mural, where her dreams and hopes, her very soul, were locked away in the disk. In service of the balance, these traits were nothing but barriers. Through new eyes, the imbalance between the worlds was as clear as the stars themselves to the Guardian, and with one thought, she channeled chaos from Arcadia and logic from Stark into the disk, and redistributed the power wherever it was needed. A new era had begun, the era of the Guardian. After they left the tower, 2 of the Drakkin went to Stark, the other 2 to Arcadia. The 6 who came to each world started what is now known as the Sentinel, the Order of the Balance. But while in Arcadia the Sentinel thrived, in Stark they did not. In Stark, the memories of magic and the balance could not survive in the face of the new reality of natural laws, of logic, and of science. And soon, very soon, Arcadia became nothing more than legend, a myth, tales of fairies to recount to impressionable children, and stories to frighten and entertain around a fire. And while dreams still brought sights and sounds of Arcadia to those asleep in Stark, they were discounted as mere dreams and nothing more.
So that's it? We forgot about our past and about Arcadia? And that's the way things are? Then what's wrong with that? And why does magic from Arcadia seem to have begun leaking through to Stark?
That is another long story. But I can tell that you are tired of stories, and so I shall be brief. As I told you, while in Arcadia, the Sentinel grew in numbers and in strength. In Stark, while flourishing for a brief time, they were soon diminished and powerless. Some of the Stark Sentinel did not take kindly to this, and they berated the Arcadian Sentinel for their politics and teachings. The Stark Sentinel wanted people to work towards reunification, while their brothers did not. So the inevitable soon came to pass, and the Stark Sentinel parted ways with their Arcadian brothers and named themselves the Vanguard. And while at first their philosophy was not so different from ours, over the years it changed radically. The Vanguard wanted the divide torn down, the worlds reunited, and the return to what they called the Glorious Ages, when humankind could control the forces of cosmos. But first they needed their own servant in charge of the balance, their own guardian. Now, every 1,000 years, a new guardian took the place of the old one, because no one can be separated from their souls for any longer than 1,000 years. Every 1,000 years, a new guardian was born. The balance provided the seed from which a new fruit grew. But now, it has been 200 years since the previous guardian, the 12th guardian, was to be replaced. Every new child born to the balance has been taken away by the Vanguard, to be studied in an attempt to control them. In every instance so far they have failed. But the 12th guardian could wait no longer. Only a short time ago the disk in the tower shattered, and the guardian left his throne. The balance is now untended, and we have yet to find a new guardian. Unless we do so, the Vanguard may get their chance. And they may be able to place their own puppet on the throne, to rule the balance according to their principles. And this we cannot allow. It will mean the end of Stark and Arcadia, and the dawn of an era of chaos. Now do you see?
I understand the history. I can even accept it. But I don't understand why I'm here and what Cortez wants with me.
The balance is in peril, April. The Guardian has abandoned his tower. He has disappeared, and there is no one to take his place. He must be reinstated to protect the balance until a new Guardian may be found.
And what can I do? I'm nobody. I've just been having a lot of bad dreams.
You are a strong shifter. I have not seen your like in my lifetime.
A shifter?
Someone capable of opening doors between worlds. A shift. A portal between the realms of Stark and Arcadia.
Are you kidding? I didn't do anything. Cortez was the one who opened the shift, and he just waved his hands around in the air. I don't think I'd be capable of opening a portal even if I had a magic wand.
Only a shifter's own power can allow her to travel. No one else can do this for her. Cortez only channeled your power to aid you. He would not be able to step through the shift himself.
Even if that's true, I don't have any control over my talent.
Not yet. But in time you will. How else do you intend to travel back to your world?
God, I hadn't even thought about that yet. Can't you help me?
I'm afraid not. Even if I could shift, I would not be able to channel through you like Cortez did.
So, I'm on my own?
If you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them. But aside from that, yes, you are.
That's so not cool.
No, it has been unseasonably warm. If you don't mind, I will return to my studies now. Thank you for listening to an old man and his long stories.
No, thank you. It's starting to make a little bit of sense now.
That is good news. Come see me again if you have any more questions.
Tobias, you can't be dropping so much stuff on me. I've just been told the story of the balance by Vestrum Tobias, and I figure I should try to write this down while I still remember bits and pieces of it. Talk about cryptic history. Tobias, what? Oh, Tobias lost me somewhere around the 12 and the 1. Like, excuse me, what? But I think I got the gist of it. There are two worlds. One is Stark, the world of science, what I call Earth, and then there's Arcadia, the world of magic, what people here call Earth. Two Earths, then which gets a little confusing, but not half as confusing as what comes after. A long time ago, it was just one Earth, and this Earth had both magic and science. Well, mankind has always had a habit of screwing things up, and this is what they did on the original Earth. They got too powerful, learned how to move stars and be gods by combining the powers of magic and science. So an alien race called the Draken decided to interfere to prevent mankind from destroying their own world. One of the so-called kin founded this religious movement called the Sentinel, or the Fathers, or self-appointed watchers over the balance between magic and science. The Sentinel were instrumental in dividing the Earth into two dimensions, Stark and Arcadia, science and magic. They also put a woman in charge of controlling and channeling the balance between two worlds, Guardian of the Balance, who lives in a tower, a sort of in between realm, who's replaced every 1,000 years by a new guardian. So then life goes on for like thousands of years until the Sentinel starts squabbling eternally, and the Sentinel priests and Stark decide to break with the Arcadian friends and found this new cult or whatever called the Vanguard. The Vanguard went to Worlds Reunited, and they plan to do this by controlling the Guardian himself or herself. This is what they've been doing for a few hundred years now, and destroying potential Guardians by performing experiments on them or something. My hand is starting to cramp up. I'm amazed I even remember half of this. Anyways, the current Guardian couldn't stay any longer, and he left this tower in the middle of nowhere, and now the balance is in danger. Apparently chaos can really do some damage to both Stark and Arcadia, which does remind me of my dream. Not sure if that's the right word anymore, but the black chaos thingy, the vortex that attacked me, that's probably a sign of what's going to happen if somebody doesn't do something to save the balance. And I'm sensing this coming on because that's how it always gets in this thing, that somebody is me, because apparently I'm a strong shifter. Somebody has to find the Guardian, get him back in the tower to save the balance, and then do something about the Vanguard. Get them to see that they're screwing with things they shouldn't be screwing with. Hey, easy. I do that kind of stuff before breakfast. Sure you do, April. Sure you do.